AB on the track, yeah. 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 AB on the track, yeah.
What is there to fear? I'm from Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect by your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Nitty Gritty Show. It's your boy JD Costa, one half, just half of the Nitty Gritty Show. But we glad to have you back in the building today. Let me get some cheers for that. Where my cheers at? Yeah, let me get some crowd cheers. Everybody excited to be back in the building. Because we got the DMV in the building for sure. You already know what time it is. So happy to have you guys back as we get we had to take like almost like a month off. We didn't intend to do that, but with everything we had going on, it was necessary. It was necessary. We had a lot going on, and it wasn't just schedule didn't allow for us to do it any other way. So it is what it is. But we back, and so we're about a week out from elections. So obviously tonight we're gonna be talking elections. But before we get into all of that, before we get into the elections, right? Because that's important. That's gonna be the top of the show. There's a couple of things we want to talk about real quick before we get busy. My man Brent in the building. Got to drop a bomb for you, sir. Brent been getting down the Nitty Gritty show for a long time. We appreciate you. So, y'all already know, I didn't even want to talk about this, man. I promise y'all, I didn't want to talk about this, man. But you know what? Before I talk about him, let me pay some bills. Shout out to Plugged In Customz. Plugged In Customz holding us down. Appreciate y'all. My man Lamb over there at Plugged In Customz. If you're in the area, call them. 202-351-7348. Plugged In Customz. If you want to get your tint done, if you want to modify your car in some cool way, shoot, you just need to get some body work done. You get into an accident, yo, straight up, go to Plugged In Customz. They got you. Fender bender, go to Plugged In Customz. They got you. You want to put some cool lights, you want to do a chrome delete, all that good stuff, go to Plugged In Customz. Man, you just need to get your tires changed. Go to Plugged In Customz. Oil change. Go to Plugged In Customz. Listen, they do it all and they do it well. Okay? And then, when the season rolls back in, y'all ready to get that car detailed? Go to Plugged In Customz. Y'all can find them at Plugged In Customz. That's Plugged In Customz with a Z. Y'all can find them on IG. You can find them on Facebook. Hit them guys up, man. They're doing good work. They're located at 4910 Buchanan Street, Hyattsville, Maryland. Go get at them. You know what I'm saying? Support some black business, all that good stuff, all right? But most importantly, more important than them being a black business is they're a good business and they do good work. That's really important. A lot of people always say, oh, you got to support black business. But do you have a good business? Are you putting out good work? That's the most important thing in business. Are you doing good work? I know a lot of people don't like that. Like, nah, I need to support your brother man. Nah, I need my brother man doing good work. I need to make sure the work look right because it's going to be really hard to support you and the work look like trash. So please do a good job first. Can I get an amen on that? Matter of fact, I'll just bomb drop that myself because if you ain't doing good work, I ain't supporting your business. I don't care if you're black or not. If the food tastes bad, if the service is bad, why am I going there? Why am I spending my hard-earned dollars there? Can I at least get good quality service to go along with it? I don't need a discount. I don't need a hookup. But just do right. So check out Plugged In Customz because they handle all of that. They know how to handle their business. I love them. But like I was saying, I didn't even want to talk about this, man. And this is not even the conversation today, but it's been a distraction towards what we're going to talk about today. So I think it's important. Kanye. Yay. Kanye West. However y'all want to refer to him. Donda's son. Slim tripping. Right? This is all I'm going to say. I put out some smaller shorts and videos throughout the week. Here's the thing. You don't have to you can agree or disagree with the rhetoric. I don't really have a problem necessarily with what was said, but he doesn't articulate it really well. And here's the thing. Kanye goes off the ham, says a bunch of stuff, but then we watch all these different interviews, and the problem is why can't he articulate his standpoint and how he feels himself? Why do we have to come in and save him and say, see what he really meant with this? Because see, he's masterminding, and what y'all don't see the play. Y'all don't see what's going on. He's just strategic. People, I'm tired of that strategic thing. I'm tired of giving him leeway and calling him strategic and he's a sinister mastermind. Listen, Harry Kissinger, that guy was pretty smart. He would talk at a boring pace. He worked under the Nixon administration, worked under the Reagan administration for a little while as well, and he knew how to get a deal done, right? Folks like that you read about in like the 48 Laws of Power, these guys were methodical. These guys were strategic. I'm not giving that to Kanye. Kanye's a genius artistically. He knows how to draw attention to himself. I give him props for that. He does that very well. But genius, strategically, a strategic genius? Nah, we We ain't doing that one. I'm one of those. I'm the doubting Thomas saint on that one. I'm gonna need to see the evidence. Okay, and for those that know about Thomas in the Bible, one of the disciples, he needed to see the evidence that Jesus rose. He's like, listen, like, y'all ain't got no doppelganger, y'all ain't got no twin brother we ain't know about. Let me see slim hands. Can I put my finger up in there? I need to know this is the real guy. I'm like that. I'm one of those people, I say it all the time. Time will tell the truth of all things. Results driven. Because that's the America we live in. We live in a capitalistic society. At the end of the day, we like to see the end result. And as a black man living in America, that's all America's ever wanted from me. They always want to see the result. They want to see the proof. And that, is it right? Is it the way we should live? Unfortunately, it's not. It's not right, but it is what it is. And we have to start understanding how things actually work versus how we want them to work. So with Kanye, man, I mean, hey, I don't think he should be canceled. I'll say that much, though. I don't think Kanye should be canceled because we're still watching movies done by Harvey Weinstein. We're still listening to music from all these other guys that were declared rapists and all that kind of stuff. So why are we going to just cancel? There ain't no need to cancel Kanye and actually, get rid of him. No, we ain't doing that. No. I'm not with the whole canceling Kanye. But at the same time, we need to kind of put celebrities in their place. And this kind of goes into our conversation about voting. Listen, at the end of the day, celebrities, they have their own frame of issues and things that they care about, right? But when it comes to you as a voter, you have to vote for your interests. And we're going to talk about that more. I don't care if you vote Democrat, Republican, whatever it is. When you go out there and vote next Tuesday, November 8th, vote for the things that matter to you. If you're complaining about potholes in your city, if you're complaining about taxes and inflation, if you're worried about the things that most Americans are worried about right now, which is inflation and money, then you need to vote for that interest according to how that's going to work out for you in your state, right? We're going to get more into that. Speaking of celebrities and running their mouth, obviously we know that Elon Musk is buying Twitter. He's looking to lay off a bunch of people. The rumor is from some of the money magazines is that he's doing this to avoid having to pay off pensions and things of that nature. So if he could get everything done in time and lay those people off, supposedly, that's why. That doesn't surprise me because once again, America is a capitalistic society. We're a capitalist country, right? So therefore, the dollar always leads the way. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, the dollar does lead the way. This is how America works. Oh, well, shout out to A Dobbos over here in the chat. Thank you for being here. Drop a bomb for you. Make sure you subscribe and like the Nitty show. Share it. Share this live. You know what I'm saying? I'll be down with all the smoke. Bring your educated friends in. They may disagree with something I'm saying. I'm not saying I got all the answers. I got them in front of me right now, though. I got 2 monitors up. And I got all kind of notes written down. But if you disagree, that's cool. Just, state your opinion. We'll take it. This is a dialogue. And we down. We always for it. So, yeah, Twitter. So we see that Donald Trump is back. I don't think he has his old Twitter handle, but it looks like he's going under a new Twitter handle. Elon Musk has removed all the old rules. So we see people in that mug making all the racial slurs. I done seen so many niggas on Twitter. Well, they don't even say nigga, they say the other one, right? Twitter is back to the Wild Wild West. But, when you got money, you can buy things. Once again, it's a capitalist society. Unfortunately, that's how things happen sometimes, right? But Twitter's crazy, again. So, I don't know where Twitter's going to go. That's going to be interesting. But if you guys have seen Dogecoin in the excitement tide because of Elon Musk and Shiba, right now is a good time to get some Doge and Shiba. Doge and Shiba, I think was last time I checked, one of them was up back to 14 cents. It was down to like 6. If you got real money, you can make some serious plays. Every time it dips down to 6, buy it. And every time it rises up to 14 cents, sell it. And just keep going back and forth. That's a 33% increase in some cases, right? So therefore, if let's say you have, $5,000 to play with, you could be making literally every time it goes up and down, that's like $1,800 play every single time, right? That's giving out some free game if you're trying to make a little bit of money. If you got it, you know what I'm saying, to make that investment, might be a good way because your bank account ain't gonna give that to you. You're hard pressed to find a bank account these days that's gonna give you 2%. So you gotta find a ways to get your dollars back in your pocket, right? I know a lot of us are, and don't get me wrong, the fear that we have as black people towards the financial institutions are just because we've seen them time and time again screw us over. We know that when it comes to insurance policies, only 80% of policies actually get paid out, which is really sad because we don't understand that policies are not like shirts at the Gap. You just don't say, okay, let me get the blue one or let me get the yellow one. No, you have to be specific in how you write out policy. One of the most powerful organizations or businesses on the known earth is Lloyd's of London. And you know what Lloyd's does? All they do is write policy. When Jennifer Lopez wanted to insure her booty, she went to Lloyd's of London. When, what's his name? Troy Polamalu or whatever his name is, the Steelers, I think he was like a cornerback or wide receiver. He was on the Dove commercials, all the hair. He had a policy, $1 million put on his head, put on his hair, right? These are the kind of organizations that can write policy on anything. And you can be very specific about how you write down that policy and you can put things in it. Now, the more you put in it, the more expensive it gets. But if you want to make sure that, hey, I want to make sure my beneficiary gets the death benefit in 24 hours, you can actually put that in the policy. And what a lot of these folks are getting are whole life policies. Now, we're not gonna talk policy and all that today, but I think you should look into, a lot of times we're told to get term. But then you have to start looking at, well, I need you to be honest with me. Don't tell me about what's going to get you paid, Mr. Insurance Man. Tell me, this is what I want the outcome to be. What would be the best rate for this? And just give me the honest answer. Don't count my pockets for me. Tell me, what is this going to cost to get this specific line of services so I can have an XYZ result, right? That's the power of making your money work for you and speak for you. You feel me? So, had to throw it out there. That was just like me going on a tangent, but I'm gonna do that tonight a few times because we've missed a few shows and I had a lot of information that I had stored up for other episodes that we never got through to. So some of that is gonna come out in this conversation today. Also, I know it's Halloween weekend. Now, I'm all for the fun and games. I know a lot of churches are doing like the trunk or treat. I know that's what my nieces were doing today, so shout out to them. And I know at my church, Kingdom Fellowship, they gave that alternative. Some of you guys are out, still got events you're going to go to. Listen, just be safe. Be safe. Please be safe. Also, look, I get it. I like a good time, but it's just amazing how all these events come and then we got the elections coming up. And I think sometimes we get indefinitely distracted. Don't be that person is all I'm saying. But listen, you want to go out there, have a good time this weekend, go do that, be safe. Make sure you have a DD, designated driver, use Lyft, use Uber. Be safe out there, wherever you're going out to. I come from the old school where, my mother used to want to check the candy. I seen somebody post that meme today. Before you eat any candy, let me go through that. So, do that. If you're going to go trick and treat through your neighborhood with your kids, be mindful that there's people out there that sometimes doesn't have humanity's best interests at mind, right? So I think it's important that some of these old school things we used to be concerned about, I think we should still do a little bit of that. So if you see something or something don't look right, use your instincts and say, let me check this candy. I'll tell a quick story, true story. And actually shout out, and I'm going to shout her out again. Shout out to my Aunt Karen. She just had her birthday, actually. But my mother told me a story of when they were kids, right? And this was a Halloween. And for some reason, there was a lady that was passing out apples. So, they had got apples. And my mom was saying that for some reason, Mom, I hope I'm telling this story right. For some reason, she just wanted a piece of the apple, right? You got all this candy. And she was just a nuisance about it, she said. She's like, nah, I want some candy. I want some candy. Or I want half the apple. I want some. And it was supposed to be to my Aunt Karen. She's supposed to have the apple to herself. But for some reason that day, my mom was begging for this apple that she received, that Karen received during Halloween. Sure enough, my grandmother, shout out to Grandma Liz, she goes to cut the apple in half, and sure enough, there's a razor blade inside. So this is the kind of sick stuff that people will go out here and do. And it's like, for what reason would you do something so cruel and vile like that? But, I mean, why did Jeffrey Dahmer go to gay clubs wanting to cut people open, right? Yeah, I watched the Netflix series, but you can't rationalize to me why this makes sense. I refuse to understand stupid. I say that all the time. I refuse to understand stupid. There's no rational reason. I get it. Someone that works in the health field might be able to go through and find key factors that contributed to his sick mind, right? But I ain't really trying to understand it. Like, like, Slim, you cutting people up. I'm not even trying to give you the platform to say I get why you're so sick. So Halloween weekend, basically, you guys be safe. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. So we're talking the political updates right now, right? And this might not even be a long conversation. It could be if I go off on more tangents. So it could go that way. And for those that want this information, just go to politico.com, right? Don't take my word for it. Go to politico.com. You can go to americavote.com. There's a bunch of resources out there. So don't take my word for it. Do your own personal research. I always tell people, don't ever, especially YouTubers, and I know I'm a YouTuber, we're YouTubers, but don't just take a YouTuber's word for everything and then call that the gospel. Go look that stuff up for yourself. You don't have to be like, oh, well, Ron on the Nitty Gritty Show said, Jada Costa was like, you should do. Nah, I'm no professor. Now, I'll give you a resource every time. People always want to say this, say that. Like, no, give me a book I could go read on my own. You know what I'm saying? I'll value that at least. Like, all right, I see you picked up a book. I see you got some knowledge. A lot of people like to feel things. They like to live in the gray. I'm a black and white cat over here. You know what I'm saying? Either you wrong or you not. I'm sorry, I do math. Math is exact science. There is no, where there were multiple possible answers. No, there's one answer. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 × 2 = 4. But this is why it's important that you know your work, right? Because if you only know a piece of something, and then you start saying, oh, okay, yeah, so that means 4 + 4 is 8. So that means 4 × 4 is 8. No, that's different math. And you got to understand your math. 4 × 4 is 16, right? And this is why the teacher used to say when you were doing your math work, show your work. Because you may just accidentally get the answer right in one instance. But once we take that same polynomial equation, once we take these integers and exchange them out, and now x = 3 or x = 5, unless you understand the equation and how it works in the process of solving for that equation, when we put different integers in there, you're going to get it wrong. And this is how knowledge works, right? When our ancestors created math, because yes, that's a comedic science, math, it wasn't just about how to decipher integers. It was about how we can place even different scenarios in place. And then you can properly deduct and divide, multiply, whatever the case is, and come up with a solution as to, based off running the numbers, running the strategy, we have the probability of XYZ more than likely being the case, right? Somebody comes into your house, steals something. So then you can start basically doing the math. Well, so-and-so's never been in my house before, so I can subtract them off. So-and-so has a key to my house. So now that multiplies the chances of them stealing, right? So we use math to help solve equations even outside of traditional math. And I think that's important for us to understand as we have this conversation today, because it's going to be very true in how we go forward. And actually, so I can see my comments and this. I'm just going to rearrange my screen real quick. Y'all give me a quick second. There we go. So let's talk about the political landscape and what's going on. So first of all, I think it's always important we understand how government works, right? Certain issues happen at certain levels. So, for instance, we have the Senate and we have the legislative branches, right? At the federal level. So we have the Senate. Right now, they're saying that right now the Senate is a toss-up. Based off the midterm elections that are going on right now, Senate is a toss-up. It could go Democrat or Republican, right? We know the House right now, more than likely, based off the midterms, the House is about to go red again. It's about to go Republican. We know that looking at governors. Now, governors, keep in mind, that's not the legislative branch of a state. Governors represent the executive branch of a state. What does the power of a governor have? This is what governors will do in your state. Governors are going to ultimately decide when there's a budget that comes into the state, and if there's any veto power to change or to augment where that budget goes, that's going to be at the power of the governor's seat. Right now, we have a governor race going on here in Maryland. I think I'm going to vote Wes Moore. Not because I'm just blue to my core. I just think based off the things I think that Maryland needs and the things that I need as a constituent of Maryland that are important to me, I'm going to vote for Wes Moore. I don't always vote blue. Honestly, when I voted for Hogan when he was in office because I liked what he was doing. Some of his policies on money I actually agreed with. And for me as an individual, in my household, he was my guy. This time around, I feel like Wes Moore is my guy. And that's going to happen in every state you're in. Now, unfortunately, we're already past the primaries. This is the general election. So for certain key areas, you almost have no choice but to vote Democrat. Prime example, we have a local elections going on in D.C. right now. It's going to come down between Red Grant, the comedian, and it's going to be Mario Bowser. Now, if I was living in D.C., just because of experience alone, I'm going to say Mayor Bowser. And it's funny because we get so many folks like, well, I don't understand why y'all think experience is so important. I think it's overrated. All right, cool. When you go to your gynecologist, we see what happened to that young man in Florida that was faking being a gynecologist. We see all the lawsuits that's coming down. Y'all didn't want him playing with y'all woohoo, talking about just getting a free peek. You want some brother that's went through school and understands what he's doing, right? If someone's going to manage your money or build your home, do you want somebody saying, hey, I ain't never built a house before. I'm not familiar with hammers and nails, but you know what? I think you should take a chance on me and let me build your house. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that at all. You'll be like, wait a minute, brother. Now, I'll go to Stanley Martin. I'll go to Ryan. I'll go to Toll Brothers to build my house because they got 30 plus years experience. They've been doing this for 90 something years, whatever the case. They got people that they've employed that have all their licenses and certificates that I trust them with purchasing a $200,000, $500,000, shoot, depending on where you live, $1.5 million. Sometimes that's for a condo. You're not going to trust us little buddy down the street just to say, hey man, just give me a chance. I'll look at these blueprints. I'll just try to put it together. So why is it when it comes to politics, the people who are ultimately going to decide how we allocate money in our cities, our states, our various municipalities, at the nationwide federal level, you'll just be like, so-and-so got power. He got influence. Kanye said the most profitable thing out there is influence. Okay, but you can believe that if you want to, but I know one thing, the Koch brothers one of the brothers passed away, I think like last year or 2 years ago. Almost every Republican nominee that's ever made it in office made it with their money in the last 25 years. They never ran for office. But the Koch brothers know how to put millions of dollars up in PAC money for Trump, for Bush, for Romney, all those different years that he ran. Because they knew it was an investment into how their businesses will thrive in this national market, how their taxes will be handled. So they was willing to spend millions in PAC money to save millions on taxes. See, that's the play. But we don't think strategically like that. We're like, I don't know, maybe Kanye, I don't know, maybe Dwayne Rock Johnson. What does the people's elbow have to do with the people's taxes? Not a darn thing. So why are we considering even voting for this clown? Am I making any sense? Is it funny at least? I mean, somebody help me out. Why do we put so much stock in celebrity? It doesn't make any sense. And we're putting him into these various precarious predicaments. Keep in mind, Another celebrity that had got voted into office was Ronald Reagan. He was the governor of California. So when we look at these governors, a lot of times governor is segue, or senator is segue. The next stop typically is president. Bush was a governor. Barack Obama was a senator, right? End up going into office. We know that Clinton was a governor out there in Arkansas. So we have to be very thoughtful, depending on where we live, when you promote these people into these positions. What is that going to mean for you? And then we know it's a hot mess when you got no experience, i.e. Donald Trump. We saw what that looked like. We're still feeling the remnants of that. That's part of the reason why the economy is still going up. That's a different conversation for another day, right? But this is why we need to understand how our government works. So when we're complaining about streetlights and all of that, that might be your alderman. That could be your mayor. That could be your councilman, the person in charge of your ward. You're worried about why, if you're in the state of Tennessee, you're worried about why TSU is still owed $500 million in funds. Well, you need to be considering who you're voting for governor. Because they're the people that have some influence on that money. And you need to be looking at your state representatives and your state senators. Hey, y'all, why do y'all misappropriate that money? Why isn't TSU getting a fair shot of all this money? They're building up MTSU. They're building up APSU. They're building up all these different schools, Tennessee Tech. But I don't see TSU getting their fair shake. And they're HBCU, but they're also OVC, Ohio Valley Conference. I need y'all to, make sure they get their fair money. And this is how we vote. This is how we vote strategically. And honestly, I could care less if you vote Democrat or Republican. Because once again, if you're in D.C., right, the primaries are gone. We're in the general now. But if you're in D.C., you had a chance to say, I hear a lot of people in D.C. complaining, it feels like all they care about is money. All they care about is development. They pushing black people out. They gentrifying. Well, there was a man named Robert White that wanted to pass legislation and push through legislation that would benefit the people, benefit the legacy residents of the area. But y'all didn't come out to the primary and vote for him. But you know who did? Them contractors came out and voted. The people over there that live on the west side of 16th Street came out and voted. And you know who they voted for? They voted for Muriel. These people, by right of money, more than likely would make sense that they would vote Republican when you think about what benefits these kind of millionaires, some of them billionaires. But they understand, instead of just voting the party line, because the vote Republican in D.C. is almost stupid, because no Republican is going to make it the mayor. We're not going to vote a Republican mayor in D.C., but you're going to vote a Democratic one. And those people who are probably truly Republican conservatives, when they look at money, they're smart enough to say, you know what? I know ain't no Republican going to get elected. So instead of letting the far left people and the more liberal voices control the room, let me find a Democrat in the primary that can help secure my money. And what they found was Muriel Bowser. Y'all don't have to like me, but it is what it is. The facts are the facts. We seen what Slim did with her last 2 terms. And this 3rd term, she's going to do the same thing. It's going to be more development. Things are going to get more and more expensive in D.C. Period. You don't got to like it, but it's the truth. So if you live in Tennessee and you're black and you want to make sure your voice is heard, maybe it's not a bad idea to vote Republican in the primary and get at least that Republican that's willing to listen to you, give you an ear and say, you know what? Yeah, I can see why being pro-choice is important. I see the value of that. Hey, I see why reparations could be good, not just for the black people, but I see how that could benefit America as a whole. You might be able to get that person's ear. The Democrat is not going to get a lot of times. Like, they've had a Democratic governor. They've had some Democratic senators even in Tennessee. But most of the time, that's a Republican town. So you might hit your best bet on Republican. It's not saying that, oh, I want to be a Republican now and then I agree with all the views of the whole party. It's saying, no, in this particular instance, this might be the best thing for me as an individual living here in this jurisdiction. And that's the kind of strategy we have to have when we go into the booth next Tuesday, November 8th. All right. Also, some key battlegrounds to be looking at. if we're looking at the Senate right now, the big news in these 6 states, it's Arizona Senate, right? Because that could go either way. That's going to be Mark Kelly and Blake Masters. We're looking at Georgia. We know that Raphael Warnock came into office, but that was a special election, right? So he was filling in the last 2 years of that previous senator. We have to still vote for him again so he can have a full term. Full term for a senator is 6 years, right? Right now, he's going up against the Republican Herschel Walker. Now, I've seen some of these Herschel Walker interviews, and listen, if you live in Georgia and you want that to be a federal representative of how your taxes, of how our money's going to be spent on military, whether or not we get engaged into another war, when you start looking at our political standing from an international community, right? When we start seeing the amount of funds that's going to be given to the VA, because keep in mind in Georgia, I got a lot of veterans living out there, right? A lot of y'all want to keep on getting that increase on your pay for those that get retirement, or for those in the service. You want to make sure you get those benefits. So you got to consider, well, what senator is going to help this out? We got Atlanta, right? The AUC. A lot of people are talking about, I don't want to have to worry about paying back student loans, or I want some student loan forgiveness baked in. Well, these are the people who are going to help decide whether or not those laws get passed. So it is imperative to you to be concerned about who's going to get that election in Georgia. Nevada Senate, we got Senator Catherine Cortez and her race against Republican Adam Lazolt. Then we got Pennsylvania, right? Mehmet Oz seeking to close the deficit with Democrat John Fetterman. Then you got Wisconsin, and then we got New Hampshire. Some really tight races right now. And then there's some key congressional spots in the House to be looking at. Right now, Virginia looking like it's going to go blue, right? Ohio is looking like it could go either way, and that's always the case with Ohio. And this happens in places like Maryland too. So what happens is when you start looking at where the majority of people live, they live in larger cities. They live on the coast of the United States. There's a couple of mid hubs like Nashville, Chicago. You have, I don't know if you would really say Memphis, but you have these key hubs along the way. But majority of people live in cities. Majority of the people don't live in rural areas. So when we start looking at the division of power, right, you start looking at some of these states. This is why we have an electoral college, because it's like, well, yeah, Nebraska's a state, or better yet, North Dakota's a whole state, but should they still have the same influence on the election that New York has, knowing that New York has so many more people, right? Because a lot of people are like, we should do away with the electoral college. Well, first of all, do you understand why we have an electoral college? The reason why we have it is so that way we could divide the power according to where people live. Now, sometimes we need to redesign the influence of a state, because as people are moving in, more people are living in the Tennessee area, more people are moving into DMV or whatever, maybe we should look at these numbers and say, well, we should adjust accordingly. But we have that so that way most of our middle and Midwest and Southern states are typically Republican led. Though that would really change our politics and the policies that get passed if we give equal power to, because they don't have equal population. So this is important when we start breaking these numbers down. Same thing for various districts in your state. One district may pull a little bit more power or have more influence. And that's what happens in places like Ohio, because the cities like Cleveland are majority minority as far as the people. A lot of black people there. They're more so blue, sometimes Democratic. So some of these key voting districts make a big difference. And we've seen that in previous elections, where we're waiting for the counts to come in key places like Wisconsin, Michigan, throughout Indiana, what we call those blue steel states, right? Where all those factory jobs used to be. Remember, white men were a key thing. I know we like to give all the credit to black women, right? But at the end of the day, 70% of the vote goes to white people during any general federal election. We're talking president, right? And a big factor in how Biden was elected were white men living in the Midwest, right? Those blue steel states. We're talking Michigan. We're talking Wisconsin. Donald Trump fell through on his promise to secure more jobs for those men. And you know what they did? They were like, listen, brother, you had one term to do right by me. This time around, I'm going blue. Because, see, they're voting their interest. And this is something that we can learn as a people. Listen, stop being emotionally tied to a party and start thinking selfishly enough to say, well, what really works better for me and my vote? Some of y'all need to keep this in mind. Some of these Democrats in the Senate and in the House, mind you, we have a majority Senate as far as Democrat, majority Democrat in the House. And still, we couldn't get key bills of interest passed for us. But everybody tells us, vote for your life and vote blue. But you got to show me the result of what blue works for me. It's like Allstate. Am I really in your hands? And I need to see that legislatively. I need to see the bills being passed and saying, this is really working for me. If you don't feel happy about the results, then y'all need to be like our white brothers in the Midwest. They went from Trump to Biden, saying, hey, look, maybe Biden might do it right. He might do right by us because my money ain't long enough. So I'm going to pass my vote to Biden. That's being strategic. Hats to them for being able to make the adjustment in one term. So that's going to be key here. But there's a strategy to how this thing will be played out. And then some other key governor elections. Some key congressional. We got California's 27th district, Iowa's 3rd district, Maine's 2nd district, Michigan's 7th district, Pennsylvania's 7th district, Texas 15th district, and more likely California 27th district, and also and keep in mind that's Los Angeles, because see a lot of people got money there. We be always talking about these celebrities coming out to go, hey, go vote blue, and then they be secretly being like, shoot, man, someone's talking about anybody making more than $400,000 gonna pay more in taxes. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and vote for this Republican real quick. Keep my money together. Because they vote for their interests. They thinking in their mind, yeah, listen, y'all broke up, can vote for them. But as for me, I'm going to go ahead and vote. I'm going to vote red to protect my money. Because I got a lot of it. Right? And then Texas 15th Street. And that's the Rio Grande Valley area. It swung sharply to the right last election, and it's looking like it's going to go red again, right? And so sometimes in these key areas where more than likely a Republican or a Democrat is going to win, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. That's why in the primary back in June, you need to start saying, well, I get it. More than likely a Republican is not going to win this. A Democrat is not going to win this area. So what person on the other side of the aisle best identifies with my needs that might still be a voice for me once they're elected into that position? And then, even if it's not your guy, we need to be like Martin Luther King. Lyndon Johnson wasn't our guy. Lyndon B. Johnson wasn't our guy, but you know what? We was in Slim Face every day, making sure LBJ heard our needs. And he wasn't very interested in civil rights and change, which I think we need to divert from civil rights to human rights, but that might be a conversation for another day. We have to, even no matter who gets elected, they still represent your voice, whether you vote for them or not. And you have a right to make sure you're heard. And you know what? I think we need to start recording. Because see, a lot of politicians like to kiss and shake hands during election season, and then shortly after they're sworn in, they go ghost. And you know what? Every time you send an email, every time you call, start logging that stuff down. And then next election, when they need to shake your hand, they're going to be like, hey, just want to let you know I got it in my cell phone. I called you in January. I called you in May. I called you in June of the following year. In August of the following year, I was asking about this issue. My lights still ain't been fixed. I still got potholes everywhere in my neighborhood. But you want me to vote for you again. Let me look at one of these other people on the ticket, because they might be a better fit for me. And you make that clear to everybody. Somebody going to make a change because they want to earn your vote. Again, And again, so let's be strategic about how we go about it. Governors, Arizona governor, that's a toss up right now. Kansas governor, that's a toss up right now. Wisconsin, that's a toss up. Florida, it's looking like he's gonna probably win. But keep in mind what they always talk about when it comes to governors and when they win. More than likely, if he gets a win in 22, Governor Ron DeSantis, and I personally don't see him. I don't live in Florida, so that's not my issue. But I will tell you, the policies and the things he's pushing for in Florida, I would hate to see at the national level. He couldn't be my president. But Florida, if y'all allow him to win that election, that's going to springboard him to a 2024 campaign. Y'all think y'all was scared of Trump. This brother got some experience. And that's something to be concerned about. Michigan, more than likely, is going to go blue. Gretchen Whitmer. And then more than likely, it looks like Pennsylvania is going to go blue with Doug Mastriano. So, I'm sorry. Doug Mastriano is the Republican that they're trying to pick against him. But see, the problem is he's too extreme. He doesn't appeal enough to the middle. And when you're too extreme, that works great in the primary, right? Whether you're extremely liberal or extremely conservative, depending on what party you're at, that might be great in the primary. And that might work out great for an area where, you know, you might be in a certain part of Alabama where it's like that's just a red area. So you could probably stay extreme. That's why Mitch McConnell moves the way he does. I mean, he's in Kentucky. Ain't nobody going to stop him from doing what he's doing in Kentucky, and therefore he has a lot of power and becomes a pain in the butt in the White House. But see, when you think about what your representative means on the national stage, this should be concerning. And this is where we need to understand how things work. Stop all this, but that ain't right. This is how it should be. Kumbaya, let's all hold hands and make the world a better place. I'm sorry, it's not a Michael Jackson song. Okay? This is not how the real world works. So we need to start understanding the landscape. How do we take advantage of the landscape and use it towards our benefits as individuals according to where you live and your politics? Once again, I'm not going to push you towards any direction. I know how I feel, and I'm going to vote according to what works out best for me and my family. But I need you guys to do the same. But when you don't vote at all, don't complain when crime is up in your neighborhood, when the police are killing unarmed black men for no reason, because you had a chance to voice your opinion, right? But voting is not the end all be all. It has to be followed up with your determined will to push agendas that support your needs. You have to be in these people's face, letting them understand, listen, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. You're not going to play me. You ain't going to get in action. You're not going to get in office and ignore me. I won't blow your spot up. I'll go to CNN. I'll go to BBC. I'll go wherever I got to go. I'll tell them about you, how you be ignoring me. And then, because somebody going to care after a while, they don't need that bad press. See, for celebrities, all press may be good press, but you know what? For politicians, they don't quite work that way. That's why they go around kissing babies and hugging people. Get always smiling in your face. Hey man, just get on my calendar. Never respond back. But they gotta make it sound good. They gotta win your vote. So these are the things we need to be mindful of. So I wanted to talk about this because we have been bombarded with tons of distractions out there. And I want to make sure that in the process of doing that, we don't get so bombarded that we miss out on key things. But keep in mind, when we're looking at top issues for voters, inflation and the economy are top of mind. You know what's at the bottom of most voters? 10% of Democrats said when they look at an important issue, abortion is at the bottom. They don't really care about abortion like that. At the end of the day, we're a capitalist society. If you got money, you can figure out your issues. And every election, that's what people are concerned about. Health care, their money, how well they're going to make it. How well does that check on the 1st last to the 15th, or if you get paid every Friday, how well you make it from check to check. If I put my money in a Roth IRA, how strong is the economy that I'm going to get money back? Because if you've been watching the stock market, it's been kind of volatile. But normally after the midterms of an incumbent president, the economy has 3 quarters of economic certainty. So basically, starting next quarter, the next 3 quarters, so at the beginning of next year and through, those are typically good times for the economy because people have an idea of the structure right now of our government for the next 2 years at least. So then what you're going to see is the economy's going to go up. So right now is a great time to invest because things are still kind of relatively down. Good time to invest. I'm just throwing out a free tip. Shout out to my man Armando Pantoa, i.e. Tall Guy Tycoon on Instagram. He breaks down and has these money financial conversations all the time. I'm a follower. I'm a learner of all this information. They've been breaking this stuff down for a while. So if you're paying attention, you have opportunity here to make a little bit of money. I hope you guys take advantage of it. But look, let's get ready to close out. I've talked enough. I hope that, the information given today benefits you. Once again, I'm not going to push you to vote any particular way. Oh, hold up. Before I close out, I put out a video. And how did the ladies put it? I seen a little video. I was talking about cuffing season. And there was a song a poet once said, Teddy Pendergrass, if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight. And you know what? You may be cool with a cool bed in the summertime and the springtime because it's hot outside. I don't need all that heat, but it's starting to get a little cold outside. And then in the holidays, people want some companionship. So I did a little video just poking a little fun, and it was talking about like an advertisement to rent a boyfriend for your special occasions. But just put a little bit of something out the dating market right now. It's a good time to get chose and cuffed up, and not just by anybody, but it's a good time to be strategic. Ladies, I'm going to give you some free game on trying to find a good man. Because y'all love saying ain't no good people out there. But based off the shout outs I'm about to give, it seems like there's a lot of black love out here too. Lasting. So I don't know what y'all talking about. Because in D.C., it seems like we're at a wedding every other month. Out here, people stay getting married out here. Good people. Good looking people too. You know what I'm saying? Jobs. Workers. But y'all claiming ain't no good men out here. But I see brothers proposing all the time. Shout out to my man Martin Knowles was proposed. One of my younger bros. I'm not gonna shout you out because I don't know if you proposed yet. I need to reach out to you, but I think he just proposed. So people out here getting wifed up, getting husband up, but you ain't gonna find love in the club. I don't know why we keep on doing that. It seems like internet dating is working for people. I know some couples that are together as a result of finding each other on the internet, so that can work, right? I mean, that's the world we live in. You're not gonna run up to a random shorty in Target anymore and find love, so I guess that's not there. We know that what I personally recommend, this is my personal recommendation, I'm not trying to say this always works. You could go to church. Now, I ain't talking about Sunday. Now, I ain't talking about Sunday worship. I'm talking about that brother that show up on Tuesday and Wednesday Bible study, right? I'm talking about the brother that's involved in the ministry and that's there weekly, monthly, committed all the time. That's a good place to find a husband, ladies. Some of you need to start going to these work mixers. A lot of people find love at work. I mean, that's just the world we live in, the way we work. Y'all need to start going to the work mixers. A lot of times y'all be like too cool to go to work and I ain't trying to be around them. I see them all the time. Yeah, but one of them could have been your husband. You meet a principal, you meet a director, you meet somebody in a different, work stream other than yours. So that way you're not getting in trouble for fraternization. That could be your husband right there. Y'all might want to go to the work mixers. And then people spend all this time getting their hair done, the nails done, getting degrees they ain't going to use or need. And you could have spent that time going to go volunteer at some 501c. And then that brother who's consistently at Big Brothers, Big Sisters, American Red Cross. Trust me, I live out here in D.C. There's a nonprofit for every interest out here. There's probably a nonprofit for picking up plastic on the sidewalk. I'm pretty sure it exists. To some degree, I don't know what the official name might be. There's a nonprofit for everything. Join a nonprofit. Join one of these social clubs in your city where the chances of you finding like minds are at a high rate. Okay, let's be strategic about this. The same way you're strategic about getting them degrees you ain't gonna use. Got all these sisters out here with master's degrees, and that ain't your job field. You got a master's degree in art. But the whole time you a teller at the bank. You know what I'm saying? Or you got a master's degree in finance just to find out you work at a call center for a cell phone company. You get what I'm saying? So, let's... But then you don't want to pay for your student loans. I know that's going to, hurt some people's feelings, but you signed the dotted line on that, and now you want the government to bail you out talking about this reparations. No, reparations should come in the form of, let's get a tax tariff off tobacco, because that was built off the backs of slaves. Let's get a tax tariff. Let's calculate how our free labor as slaves contributed to America and its economic standing, and let's use that as the premise as to why African Americans don't pay taxes. That's how we're going to get our reparations. But your student loans, you need to pay those. You knew the conditions of that loan when you paid for it. Is it predatory? Are the rates way too high? Absolutely. And that's why when you're voting and you're using your influence, these are the things you bring up so that way we can modify and change those things. But when you was getting your bachelor's degree, when you was getting your master's degree and your doctor's degree, you knew the rules to pay them their loans back. And listen, some of y'all for real struggling. So I know y'all be like, listen, I need that relief. But some of y'all don't qualify for relief. You know why? Because you actually, that degree did pay off. That's why you make the money you make. So you run around here with Gucci shoes and European cars. Pay your darn student loans back. Pay your bills. Pay your bills. I'm going to get a lot of heat for that one, but I don't care. Uncle Sam paid for mine. I put my life in the line from this country, and that's how I got my stuff paid for. So, whatever. I could talk that talk. Anyway, some quick shout outs. Obviously, I'm Mr. L7. For you guys don't know, I'm a gamer. I do all of that. Y'all can follow me at TNGS _ Mr. L7. That's Mr. the letter L, the number 7, EVEN. Right? Check me out. I go live. Matter of fact, after this, I'm going to be going live on the game. I'm going to be getting down on this Modern Warfare 2. If you guys want to play with me, I'm on Xbox. And I'm Mr. L7. MR, the number 7. Mr. L7. So MRL, the letter L, the number 7, EVEN. Follow me. Y'all can play with me. We get down on some of this multiplayer on Modern Warfare, right? I'll be on there tonight because Game of Thrones is off. So tomorrow night there won't be any Game of Thrones talk because the show finale was last week. We did go live about that, and so that was cool. Also, I didn't actually, I didn't even get the sports updates, so I'm not sure who won, who didn't win. So normally I have a sports update for you on the Cleveland Browns and the Washington Commanders, but it's not like either team is all that great. So chances are they might have lost today, but who knows? Maybe they won. If they did, yay! If they didn't, we don't really care around here anyways. I don't even own any Commanders or Redskins for that matter. Merch. Everything I got is either the Nationals. I got a bunch of Wizard stuff, and I even got the Caps. But the HTTC, that game, they're gonna have to earn my dollars for me to buy a jersey because I don't want to wear no loser on my forehead. I might as well get a Make America Great Again hat before I get that. You know what I'm saying? Which I would never buy that, by the way. Also, on a sorrowful note, want to shout out Papa Fred. He unfortunately passed away this weekend. 96 years old, a full life. And he was at peace. He was surrounded by family. And, that's all we can ever want in this life, that we work hard, we strive, we do the best we can, and to be surrounded by love and family when it's our time. I would hope that's how I get to go. And late in life, too. 90, that's a lot of black men, we're expected to die in our 50s. So to make it to 90, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's something worth celebrating. So, that would be my dream, to make it to 90-something years old and just, peacefully just not wake up one morning, But to have my wife there, Katrina, to have my kids or, people around me that care, and to know that I left a positive mark on this earth, that's all one can ask for. So, R.I.P. To Pop and Fred, and condolences to the whole Hawkins family, and our prayers are obviously with you, and thank you for having prayers for us. But on a happy note, because although we celebrate long fruitful lives, we celebrate also the continuation of life, right? So I'm gonna sing this. Shout out to my man Paul, who did this on the show. I cut it, made it a sound. So I'm gonna play happy birthday to everybody real quick. Let's go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Man, do that. Yeah, so yeah, that was sorry, I don't need to play it again. That was happy birthday. So birthday shout out to my nephew Zion DeCosta. Shout out to my sister Angela DeCosta. So me and Angela have something very much in common. So her son Zion's birthday is like basically like right next to hers, like a few days apart. The same thing for my daughter Nyla. My birthday is February 22nd and her birthday is the 24th. So it's like, you know, when you have a child whose birthday is right next to yours, you basically don't have a birthday anymore. It don't even exist. But shout out to Zion and Angela. Also, shout out to our homie Camilla Flores had a birthday. Shout out to Tiffany Smith. It was earlier in the month, but obviously we missed a couple of shows, so I want to be able to take the chance to shout them out. So shout out to Tiffany Smith. Shout out to Chris Hawkins, my brother-in-law, birthday, past middle of this month. Shout out to Sandra Scott. We actually had a chance to go to a nice seafood restaurant. I ain't gonna say the name because they ain't paying me no endorsement. But went to a really dope seafood restaurant. Fleet Street has a lot of great restaurants in Baltimore. For you guys don't know, in the DMV, I know in DC we're a little bougie. I mean, because we do reign supreme when it comes to the DMV. Let's just make sure that get that right. But let's not act like Baltimore don't have a lot of great offerings out there. Shout out to my man Sven from Beer Plans Podcast. I seen him in our IG chat. So Baltimore got their own thing going on. So we ain't gonna just just crap on Baltimore like that. But they got some banger seafood. And the spot we went to was dope. If you want to know more about it, I ain't gonna say it live on the show because they ain't writing me no check. But if you want to hit me up in the messenger and you want to know where we went, I'm trying to say seafood was bomb over there though. Like that was definitely worth my time. Shout out to my man Fred Scott who put us on that, and we celebrated Sandra's birthday there. Also, I'm gonna shout out my aunt Karen Gibbs, who I had shouted out earlier with that Halloween story. She just had her birthday. Shout out to our homie Kristen Carver celebrating a birthday. And then also shout out to one of the best bartenders in the DMV area, our homegirl Teeny, celebrating her birthday. I think she's about to have a big like soiree come up or whatever, so that's dope. And then also happy birthday to Karen Davis, right? Had a birthday. Now I was talking about Black Love earlier, right? Now y'all be trying to act like Black Love don't exist. Actually, let me get my music queued up. Let me turn my desktop audio down a little bit. Hopefully y'all can still hear me as I'm talking. Let me go ahead and cue up My Sharia Moore real quick. So, y'all be talking about, I can't get it, man. Ain't no more Black Love out here. I don't know. I'm just going to read through these names. Y'all let me know if y'all think Black Love still exists. But I seen a whole lot of it that happened in October. October got them wedding anniversary. Okay? So, look. Shout out to Pastor Matthew and Shauna Walker. 16 years. Yeah, 16 years married. Shout out to her and Linda Brown. Shout out to Cal and Lori Maxberg. 22 years. 22 years. Shout out to my home, Elder Jerome That's wild. But if that's what you do, that's what you do. More power to you, okay? But look, once again, thank everybody for watching. Once again, shout out to our sponsor, Plugged In Customz. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, also comment, right? We're trying to hit some new numbers here. I think today we have, a few views. I want to get the views up on this particular video before next week. Let's try to get us up to 250. So share it with some friends. They don't got to watch the whole thing. If you just give me 2 minutes so we can work the algorithm, can y'all just please watch it, share it with your friends. If you like the content of what we discuss, share it, please. I know y'all can find us on Facebook at the Nitty Gritty Show 2017 if you actually type us in there. But normally if you type in the Nitty Gritty Show, you'll see all of our stuff come up. You can find us on the Instagram at the Nitty Gritty Show, all one word, the Nitty Gritty Show. Type in the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. YouTube, obviously the Nitty Gritty Show. Don't forget I'm on Twitch at TNGS _ Mr. L7. That's MRL, the number 7, EVEN. And then don't forget, we still got our online store. Buy some merch, y'all. We got stuff with Adidas, Nike, and all of that. Squadlocker.com. Type in the Nitty Gritty Show on the search. You can see all of our stuff pop up. We got polos, we got hoodies. We got some pretty fly stuff, hats, all of that. Get some. But look, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you guys. We're working on getting our super chat and all that stuff set up so you can actually do donations online as we're live. So that's a piece of the software that we have now. We're going to get that underway. But once again, thank you guys for watching. It's your boy, J.D. Costa, one half of the Nitty Gritty Show, and we are out.